Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the season finale of season 2 of CFO Coffee Talk. We have a great show this morning called Winning the Workers' Comp Battle. You know, the workplace is for many companies is a battlefield, but instead of landmines, there are safety hazards that can injure our people and our financial statements. So we've assembled a couple experts here this morning to share their insights. From South Florida is my Florida CFO group partner, Marylean Abney. Good morning, Marylean.
Good morning, Phil.
And we are honored to have recently named the number one workers' comp broker in the country, president of Work Comp Solutions from Lakeland, Florida, Duke Mills. Good morning, Duke.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. Home of Sheriff Grady Judd.
Okay.
Popular sheriff.
We'll save the Grady Judd story for another show.
Yeah, we will.
Let's focus on workers' comp expertise, which I know you have a ton of. Duke, how about a 1-minute summary and how you became such a workers' comp expert?
Well, so I'll give you, try to give you the Reader's Digest version. So I started back in the insurance business back in the late 80s. And I was the jack of all trades, so I sold everything. You need pet insurance, you need help, whatever it is, I did it all. And so ended up back in the late 80s, work comp rates were going up, from 15% to 20% a year. So when I'd go back and see my clients for the renewal, they just say, hey, just take the keys to this company. We can't afford that. And so I'm like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? Right. The state sets the rates. And so they asked me, I think one contractor said, can you just dig in and see if there's anything? So, if you look at me as a disc profile, I'm a high D, high I. I'm a 1S, 1C, not analytical, not really a caregiver. I haven't balanced a checkbook in 20 years. But when I started looking into this stuff, what I did is I just started digging into it, right? And I started finding mistakes. And quite honestly, I was embarrassed. Then I found out I could go back and get money back. So 25 years ago, here you go. I opened Work Comp Solutions.
All right. We all have to start someplace, right?
We did, yeah.
Marylean, I know your background. Also know, I think you're high D, high I, high S, high C.
Yeah, it's everything.
Probably.
Talking about some major battlefields that you've worked in from a workers' comp perspective. Tell us a little bit about your CFO experience.
Well, yes. So, Phil, my background, long time in corporate America, Caterpillar, U.S. Steel, then small and medium-sized companies. But what comes to mind is working at Caterpillar. And there was a critical case that Caterpillar went all the way to the courts to resolve. And this is a worker that claimed they were injured on the job. And the policies are pretty clear in terms of at the time of the injury, you must get evaluated by medical personnel at the company. That did not occur. It was a fraudulent case, took it all the way to the Illinois Supreme Court. And what that showed workers is we're not going to tolerate fraud. I mean, you set the example, you set the tone at the top. Here's our policies. We want you safe, but we will not tolerate fraud. And Caterpillar's, won the case. So very important to do that because that also will help minimize your workers' comp as others see that won't be tolerated.
Well, Marylean, I know I can't match your hard hat experience from the Caterpillars and U.S. Steel, but my 20 years in cable TV, our battlefield was a little bit different. It wasn't in one building. It was across 20,000 miles of plant and thousands of poles. So I have a different perspective on workplace safety and workers' comp expense reduction that really was founded by having to manage the challenges spread across such a wide geography. Duke, what are business owners' biggest concerns surrounding workers' comp?
Well, I think Marylean, I'm going to just follow her. It's the fraudulent or exaggerated claims. I mean, I don't care what size you are as a business owner. You could be, Caterpillar, U.S. Steel, or you could be somebody that's got 10 employees.
Yep.
It's not only the cost of the claim, it is the aggravation. And what time this owner is always dealing with this kind of stuff. So I think that's the biggest concern. I would also say the second is a serious injury or a fatality. And you know what? That turns an owner upside down. It bothers them, it hurts them. And I go back to Paul O'Neill, who used to be the CEO of Alcoa. And when he had a fatality, and as big as they were in US Steel and Caterpillar, he wanted to know about everything. Mm-hmm. And he said, I want you to go home the same way you came here. So I think that's huge. So you asked me for the number one concern, but I will tell you OSHA is critical right now. Business owners have to pay really close attention to the safety side, because the citations are starting at 14,000 and they're going up to 100. I mean, the willful's 144,000. So I think that's important, and you got to work.
Yeah. I saw a stat that said 34% of workers' comp claims come from employees' first year on the job. If that doesn't scream the importance of employee training, I don't know what does. Marylean, what's your CFO perspective on this terrain?
Well, I think Duke is spot on. You don't want the fraud, and clearly fatalities are, horrific. I mean, workers' compensation is I call it a painful expense, because that means the employee has been injured, and that is not what anyone wants. And so when you, realize that the most important thing is safety for the employee, and if you focus on that and you show the employee that you're serious about that, then the rest will follow, right? So, they go home safe at the end of each day, the same way they came in, to your point, Duke, then that's going to manifest itself into lower workers' compensation and better bottom line.
Very good. Now, Duke, your company, Workers' Comp Solutions, helps business owners win the workers' comp battle. Tell us how you do that.
Well, I'm going to kind of stay with the claims portion, right? Because at the end of the day, workers' comp, the cost of workers' comp is claims. And workers' comp is not insurance. That's a misnomer. Workers' comp is financing at the end of the day. And it's like doing business with, God rest his soul, Tony Soprano, because they get the money back over and over again. And once you see what the cost of a claim is, usually a lost time claim will impact your experience rating, right? You'll usually pay 3 times more than the cost of the claim when it gets built in, kind of gets baked into your experience rating. So that's one of the biggest things. So we call it the 3-legged bar stool. So we have to be involved in a claim. The carrier has to be involved in a claim, and the insured. There's a lot of responsibility for business owners to stay involved in it, And so, like I said, if the carrier drops the ball, if we drop the ball, or they do, it's going to go south on you. So I think that's a big deal. On the audit side, like I told you, we do premium recovery. So we go in and look for mistakes and get people money back. We find more mistakes on audits. Employee classifications, that's the stuff that you have to shore up all the time to make sure you're paying absolutely the lowest bottom line price. So I would say those are a couple of things that, claims management on our end, because we have a claims adjuster, and, always looking at your work comp policy just to make sure there's no errors or mistakes on it. Great.
Marylean, what advice do you give your clients on how to win the workers' comp battle?
Culture. Okay. And I can't say it enough, because workers' comp claim means someone was injured. And so I'll tell you, one thing that really comes to mind is US Steel. It was the first company to coin the phrase safety first. Think about it. You're in a steel mill, is very dangerous. 3,000 plus degrees Fahrenheit, the furnace is boiling. And so it's very dangerous. And getting injured normally means a fatality, right? So safety first has got to be number one. And so since I think that was 1912, they coined that phrase. They continued that with the next CEO, and the next one, Marylean, did something called from you to me to we, meaning we together, going to make sure we're safe. Dave Burt, the current CEO and my friend, he talks about safety briefings at the beginning of each day, whether you're in the office or in the factory or a meeting. So that whole culture of you're important, I want you to go home the same way you came is important. And when you do that, then that is going to help reduce the claim. So that's what I would say. Culture comes first.
Phil, can I follow up on that? Because one thing also that I think CFOs should be aware of, it's not only the cost of a claim, it is now you have to replace an employee.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say you have a framing carpenter and you're paying him, $30 an hour, and he's generating $200 an hour, and he's out of work for a month.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll even trump that if I could. It's not just replacing the employee. Workers' comp, we look at that as being about 1% of our payroll expense. The culture, the tone you said about caring for employees, and that this doesn't affect the 1%, it affects the 100%, right?
There's no doubt.
Yeah, so it's all about showing. It's an opportunity to show your employees how much you care. One of my favorite culture building little things that I observed in my Time Warner Cable days was, back in the days before backup cameras, so many vehicle accidents came out from backing up. So many workplace injuries were from backing up vehicles, and the culture was everybody, no matter if you were the president of the company or a sales rep, would always honk the horn before you put the car in reverse. And you could be in a vacant parking lot of a restaurant, no one around, and instinctively, whoever's driving would do that if they're part of the Time Warner Cable organization that heard that safety lecture. And it was always kind of like a signal being sent that, hey, we care, and that's big because that affects 100% of employees.
So, Bill, what you said there, we care. So here's a tip of the day for everybody listening, especially where you have companies that are large companies and the CEO or the president doesn't know everybody or is not close to everybody. When somebody gets hurt, a text and a hard copy snail mail needs to go to that employee. Phrase like, it's brought to my attention you were injured today. We take safety very seriously. I have 3 questions. I've redone this letter for tons and tons of clients, but it is, were you treated respectfully by the doctor's office? Were you contacted by your foreman, your manager, whatever? Because that's where claims go south, because there's a problem. But you want to make, so when you get that letter, the wife, the husband gets it at home and they care about you. Yeah. And by the way, there's a cell number for the CEO of the company goes, if something's not right, I want you to call me personally.
Yep. Definitely a leadership opportunity. Marylean, any final insights from a CFO perspective?
Well, I think we've kind of said it over and over again, and it can't stop being said. Don't think about workers' comp costs. Think about employee safety. Think about their well-being. Think about, showing them that you care about them and they'll trust you, and the rest will follow.
Yep.
Okay. Duke, I'm going to say, I tried to set the tone from the battlefield in the workplace, and somehow you turn into a bar stool story.
Yeah. Just so comfortable on one.
Duke, please share with our audience how they can get a hold of you.
So they can find me on LinkedIn, Duke Mills. Our website is workcompsolutionsfl.com. My email is duke@workcompsolutionsfl. That's a long thing, whatever. You can find, what I always say is call Phil. He vets out everything for me. He's my gatekeeper. So reach out to Phil and yeah. But you can find me easily. I think if I've been around so long, if you Google me, you can find something.
That you have. Marylean, how can people get a hold of you?
Marylean.abney@floridacfogroup.com, and just go on our LinkedIn page or go on our website and you can find Marylean Abney.
Yes, www.floridacfogroup.com. The website has a partners page where you can reach all of us. Duke, do you have any one-sentence key takeaways for our audience?
Yeah, so I already know you're trying to edit that. So I sent them to you. So instead of putting periods in what I was going to say, I just put commas in there. So now this is technically one sentence, but I do want to say that. So we have a side of our company that's premium recovery. and we don't charge any money for it. We only get paid if the client gets money back. And I sent Phil knows the list of people. I'm saying, if you ever say, I wish I would have known then what I know now, it's costing you money. So what I'm, so that's my one, there's the period.
Okay.
Well, giving me the coffee cup look. So,
Always good for a long sentence, Duke.
okay.
Marylean, what's your one sentence key takeaway?
Safety first, reduce workers' comp, better bottom line.
Excellent.
That's right.
And I'll say view safety as a leadership opportunity to show your employees you care. Hey, thank you, Duke and Marylean, for helping us wrap up season 2.
Cheers.
As we're awesome. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Thank
Bye.
you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Bye.